I can hear you loud and clear. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Wonderful. And so you're comfortable, fit, fine, and healthy?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good. And where are you located just now?
Currently, I'm in Kanpur.
You're in Kanpur. So you're Kanpur based?
No, sir. I'm from Dehradun. My father is posted here.
Oh, where's he working?
In OFC, Ordnance Factory.
Ordnance Factory. Yes, I'm aware of that in Armapur.
Yes, sir.
In Armapur. Okay. So have you been around Kanpur?
I've done my college here in Iit Kanpur. And
you're from IIT Kanpur?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. And aerospace engineering?
Yes, sir.
And what is the specialization that you do in aerospace engineering?
Sir, I've done bachelor's. There's no specialization as such, though in fourth year I was more focused on engines and the flow around engines, propulsion systems.
So we have Mr. Rajesh Sinha also. He's a part of the regular interview board.
Yeah, so, good afternoon, sir.
Wonderful. Good afternoon, sir. We'll have the privilege of interacting together now. So I was asking this gifted child, Anjali, that post-World War II, America picked up leading German aero scientists and took them, I would say took them, but yes, captured those scientists, and America became a world leader in space science. So are you aware of these facts, Anjali?
Sir, I'm aware that the scientists were picked up after the European, when they broke up, and even when the USSR collapsed, the Warsaw and the Poland scientists, a lot of them were picked up by China also. And so we see these two countries getting very ahead in the space race. So we are not far behind. But I know superficially that this is what was happening. While when they went for brains, we went for spare parts. So somewhere there.
Yes, it was very interesting to see how this is what is known as theft of intellectual property. I mean, of course, the victors, there are no rules for the victors. If the Americans and the former Soviet Union were the victors, they picked up whatever they could lay their hands on. And the prized catches were these aero scientists. So which school did you go to in Kanpur?
Sir, I grew up in Dehradun only. So I was in a convent school there.
Mm-hmm. And then you went to IIT Kanpur?
Yes, sir.
I visited your IIT very often. You have vibrant clubs there, and it was a pleasure to interact with the wonderful students there. But what the students generally complained that it was a very closed atmosphere, far away, Kalyanpur, far away from the happening places. But in any case, you students barely have any time to go and visit the happening places. My first remark was, do you have the time to go to the happening places?
The culture of IT, they created that it was a mini city in its own self. There was so much to do in activities after classes that it went on till 10 o'clock, even all-nighters. So plus there was a bit of safety issue also from the main Kanpur and the Kalyanpur area. So students stayed inside, and for 4 years, nobody even realized that we haven't been out of the campus.
And you didn't lose much. Of course, it was just an isolated case. Yes. Tell me, Kanpur, have you heard of the massacre ghat in Kanpur?
Sir, I've heard of it, but I haven't delved into the history of Kanpur. Sorry, I'll read up on that.
Kanpur has a very great history, and you must go through the massacre ghat, the developments of 1857 and thereafter. And Kanpur was known as CAWNPUR, Kanpur.
Yes, sir, Kanpur. That is why we have OFC, that is Ordnance Factory of Kanpur, not K.
So Ordnance Factory, what is the history of this Ordnance Factory? How old is it and what are... you should not be telling me what it manufactures. It's not be discreet to talk of what it manufactures. Tell me the history of this Ordnance Factory.
So I am not sure exactly when this was set up in Kanpur, though I know of all the places in India, what they do. And they were mainly for indigenous manufacturing. And most of, they basically got a kickstart when we had broker deals with Russia. So Russia is our main defense partner for the Ordnance Factory. And it manufactures everything from, it is basically a very decentralized kind of manufacturing. So optics are manufactured somewhere, and then they're all assembled at some other place in India. And here in Kanpur, we have small arms factory, and we have very manufacture barrels. And I'm not sure about the dates, very frankly.
But tell me, there's something of very great interest from Mr. Rajesh Sinha, me, and you. I mean, the small arms factory has recently started manufacturing, you may recall, non-prohibited bore revolvers, 3-2 bore revolvers.
Okay, sir.
Since you're not interested, it seems therefore you wouldn't be fascinated by the fact that these weapons cost about 5 or 7 lakhs in the open market. But the good thing is that these weapons, the similar, absolutely, you cannot miss. I mean, these weapons of the OFC are a shade better in finish and polish and quality than even the original Webley Scots of England. And the price is just, imagine, 60,000 to 1 lakh. And here they begin from 6 lakhs and they go up to 20 lakhs. So that's a great blessing for those who are fond of weapons. So in case you join the IPS and want to buy a weapon, my advice to you would be to go in for the 3-2 bore revolver and pistol manufactured by the OFC. It is value for money. It is very economical. But are you fond of weapons, or have any fascination for weapons, or you seem to be one on art? Your hobby seems to be learning skills and art.
So I haven't been introduced to weapons, though I've seen it from a distance. I've gone to the open fairs that my father has taken me, and I've seen that, and I've seen tanks also. So that fascinates me very well. But I haven't been in the guns part. I hope to explore that soon.
No, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. That for everything there is a time. And tell me that India has recently acquired the French fighters, and there was a lot of fanfare about Rafale. Before that, we had the French Mirages also. And there is also a designation of the first generation, second generation, third generation. I would like to understand from you, which was the first jet made on the planet, first jet fighter made on the planet? And what do you mean by first generation, second generation, third generation? And what are the advantages of the Rafale? I think it was we were given to understand that we were perhaps the luckiest people on earth to get this state-of-the-art machine. Now, your ideas on these two.
Okay. So I'm not sure which one is the first jet though, but I'm aware of the kind of jets that India has, and especially about Rafale, that it is a 4.5 generational aircraft, and all these generations give us an edge over one of the other. And it basically, why Rafale is in such fanfare is because it will give us a very good strategic advantage, and it is faster. But our Sukhoi is actually one of the best in the market. It can even give a good competition to Rafale also. But then there are many beyond visual range attacks. So without going into the enemy territory, it can actually go inside, and it can not carry BrahMos. So that is why it's not totally comparable to Sukhoi. And I believe it is basically we are trying to achieve better aircrafts that can give competition to two F-16s because our neighbors we are in a bit hostile territory. So it would be good to upgrade our aircraft situation. So Rafale has provided a good addition, a good maneuverability, etc. Compared to Jaguars, Mirage, and MiGs, it has an added advantage. Based on speed, based on the ceiling that it can reach to, and the number of missiles it can hold, at least double capacity. And it is also a double engine. So if one engine fails, because MiGs have only one engine. So Rafale's double engines basically help us there. But still, I think Rafale and it is not better than Sukhoi. I would give Sukhoi the first.
You would give more marks to Sukhoi, but Pakistan has a fixation and a fetish for their F-16s.
Yes, sir.
F-16 was something to be, something to be very narcissistic about maybe 25 years ago. But today you have B-57s, you have Phantoms, and you have other stealth fighters. You've heard of stealth fighters?
Yes, sir. I just remembered Rafale is semi-stealth. In fact, my fourth year project was also on stealth form of engine. So we had to prepare a design where aircraft wouldn't be noticed.
That is so interesting. Now enlighten us about what is stealth and to what extent it can evade the enemy radar systems and detection systems.
Okay, sir. So stealth is basically the radar functions if the radar signals bounce off the engine blades, then we are able to see that image on the ground. But then we have a very serpentine duct system, which actually prevents direct imaging of the blades inside. And so it provides us a bit of stealth. Though infrared imaging will be able to aircrafts, but if it is beyond visual, if it is flying at a very high ceiling, then we won't be able to see them either way. So Rafale provides not fully stealth capabilities, but somewhat stealth capabilities, because serpentine duct itself provides a lot of disadvantage in terms of drag and flow and eddy currents. So that is still being worked on to make it more and more efficient.
You must have heard of a very prestigious aircraft manufacturing company, the Grumman
sorry, sir,
company.
I haven't heard of it. I'll read up on it.
Never mind. So you said the compatibility of the BrahMos missiles vis-a-vis a particular aircraft.
Yes, sir.
What are the advantages and what is the capability of the aircraft that it becomes BrahMos worthy?
Sir, weight-wise, because BrahMos itself is a ballistic missile. It is not an air-to-air because it is heavy. It will just flow in a projectile. So modifications have to be there to be able to hold, I think it is 150 kg, somewhere in the ballpark of that amount. So that holding that, and then there is the other question of airworthiness of an aircraft. How much drag will it take? So it needs to be a very hardy built and a bit larger in capacity to be able to hold BrahMos missiles.
Good. And now compare our aircrafts with that of Pakistan and those Chinese-made aircraft that Pakistan has heavily dependent on. Have you heard of that make of aircraft?
Sir, I can't remember the name right now, but I've read about these aircrafts sometime or the other. I know about F-16.
How good or how modern is that?
So F-16s are, I think they are five generations.
F-16s are American aircrafts. Pakistan is dependent heavily on the Chinese make.
Chinese also.
Because Chinese.
Sir, I know that, but I've forgotten the name.
Never mind. And you can say about being in Kanpur, you must have heard of Nana Sahab Peshwa. Have you heard of Nana Sahab?
Yes, sir, I've heard. But I have to read up on history more. I know that Kanpur had a very important place in 1857 uprisings also. So it was a hub. It was mostly the North India's hub. But exact dates in history terms, I'll have to read up on that.
No, I'm sure you will. You are a sharp person. Now tell me about the clubs that you were members of in the IIT Kanpur during the days of IIT. Which clubs were you members of?
So first year, I dabbled in almost everything. It was just an exciting opportunity. So Dramatics Club did a number of plays and tried to take part in music also. But then, sports became huge. The priority for me. It has always been. I had been playing, I think, for a decade when I joined also. So eventually I was part of the basketball club and I stayed there for 4 years. I did take part in discus throw and shot put also in first year, but then studies were basically an important component. So that did not provide a lot of space for a lot of clubs. So it was basketball, most generally basketball. And then taking part in some activities like hall secretary, getting into an administration bit of that.
Very good. So now you have a happy blend of discus throw, shot put, basketball, and also the administration part. I would like to understand from you. I see you emerging as a very, very bright civil servant or a very bright police officer, whichever service you choose to join. Being an engineer can be a tremendous advantage that you can put your knowledge of engineering into administration and policing. I'm giving you 2 or 3 aspects: artificial intelligence, big data analytics, machine learning. How do you think can it serve to control crime and maintain law and order?
Okay, sir.
Artificial intelligence, big data analysis, and machine learning.
Okay, sir. So all these technologies, they have at least one positive component, that it will be able to supplement the lack of manpower that we have, at least for a short while. And maybe it can also help the police department evolve in combination with AI intelligence, both working in tandem. So AI, we have already heard of the face recognition technology, though there are certain loopholes there, how it recognizes and fitting the Indian data. But recognizing individuals, tagging vehicles, trying to catch people fleeing the country, those smaller aspects. Big data is not sure exactly how it works internally, but big data is basically collection of large data and being processed. So I believe a large country like India's, with the huge law and order problem, and especially in areas that are far off and not connected, I believe these technology will be able to reach each and every individuals and very, very small examples about how we complain to the police, how we perceive, basically bringing in more governance rather than personal there. It does have disadvantage that it makes the machines, bringing in machines in law and order problem, it makes them a bit, let's say, non-humane. It takes out the human part, so a big discretion part goes there. But I believe as AI advances, we'll be able to cover that also.
Anjali, machine is just a tool that the administration is using. Machine is not something that can dictate you as a superintendent of police or a district magistrate what to do and what not to do. It is just like a tool. It is just like your car. It is just like your rifle. It is just like your pen. How and to how much you want to use is totally dependent upon you. If you feel that the human touch is lost, so be it, and you use only to the extent it becomes a force multiplier.
Yes, sir.
Can you think of robotics being used as a force multiplier?
Sure. So there are, I have seen the robotics lab, a lot of YouTube videos that are put up with robotic dogs that might be able to aid us in catching criminals. And I believe robotics with artificial intelligence and with good human connect and supervision also, we'll be able to supplement the lack of manpower that we have already. So I believe, yes, in future, we do have a good chance working with robotics.
Anjali, there was another question that you have pertaining to your line. The drone technology. The drone technology has been used with very great success. You have seen the Americans use it in Afghanistan. You have seen Dubai using it to a very great advantage against the Somalia pirates.
Yes, sir.
So do you imagine in any way that we could use our drone technology for crowd management, Kumbh Mela, election duties, and anti-Naxal operations?
Yes, sir. In fact, drones are being used in the anti-Naxal operations also. Though we have, there is still a bit of hesitancy in the people about using drones, and like Amazon has brought in drones in their in USA, but not in India because there is a security and the privacy issues are there. So if there are good laws backing about privacy and how we handle data, I believe drones can be brought on. And with such a crowd numbers like Kumbh Mela, it could have been, we could easily identify people who are not wearing masks, or maybe even announce that, okay, you need to follow this, or maybe try to even catch criminals from drone technology only by using facial recognition. So it would be a very good addition. Nobody has to pursue criminals on foot, or maybe monitor somebody. So that can easily be done sitting behind in your own space, safe space, and using drone to deploy the crowd management.
Very good, Anjali. That answers your question that it is not the machine. It's not the man who's working for it. It's the machine that is working for the man. And therefore, it will work as much on which you direct the machine to work for you. Very good answer. Now we come to your another passion, that is sports and games.
Yes, sir.
You must have heard of the IPL.
Yes, sir.
IPL, don't worry, I will not ask you about cricket. I only ask you about the philosophical aspect of IPL.
Okay, sir.
You may recall that 15 days ago, things were really terrible all across the country as far as the pandemic is concerned.
Sure, sir.
Things were terrible. And there you had the IPL match being proposed almost 15, 20 days ago at the Firozshah Kotla grounds in Delhi. And there was a huge debate. Is this the right time to have an IPL match? Or best that the IPL be postponed? What is your take? That should the IPL matches and should take place under these circumstances, or should the IPL matches be postponed?
Okay, sir. So I would not take a black and white stand. It was mostly gray. There were many aspects that were working well about people at least sitting at homes and watching their televisions and a little bit away from all the anxiety that they're having. Because one is to manage the pandemic, but then there is a lot of high stress level and anxiety going on too. And sports and visual IPL is actually able to manage that. But the fact that there were so many ambulances and doctors on record, and every day there were RT-PCR tests happening, on the face of it, when the actual city was suffering with the lack of ambulances and people were waiting 9 days, 10 days for a test and collapsing. So I believe that was a bit of moral apathy. And it is not really the fault of the players or the game. It is more of an organizational aspect that I think. So IPL could still have been held, or maybe when things started to when things had started to go up, then it could have been postponed. It shouldn't have been continuous, because eventually there were players who tested positive, and it had to be called off. So I think it had to be seen in a more futuristic trend that, okay, we will stop only when we see some cases. I believe that vision was lacking. So it could have been held on a smaller scale. And yes, ambulances could have been there, just one or two, but then I would call it hoarding. We're hoarding doctors and hoarding ambulances, the organizational part, not the sports people.
Anjali, the very fact that you're having a IPL match, which is an international craze, the police deployment would have been there, the paramedical staff would have been there, public, take it or leave it, would have gate crashed and would have made a presence there. In the backdrop that the cremation grounds was barely 4 kilometers away, and the stench of burning bodies reached, and the smoke reached the Firoz Shah Kotla ground. Under these circumstances, there was one school that had said, when Rome was burning, Nero was playing the flute. As they say in Hindi, बेमौके की शहनाई बजा रहे हैं आप. यहाँ लाशें जल रही हैं 4 किलोमीटर पे, आप क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं. ठीक. I come to your second argument that people are under stress. All of us are under stress. You are under stress. I'm under stress. All of us are under stress because we live in an ecosystem. But the other counter argument given by the Delhi government was to open the liquor shops, and there were massive serpentine lines to buy liquor. Why? To kill the stress. What a way to kill stress. Now, first reaction on the IPL match in the backdrop of the burning bodies 4 kilometers away, opening the liquor shops just to contain the stress level and earn revenue during the pandemic.
Yes, sir. So my views on this. Okay, sir. So I'll take up the liquor question first. I personally was against opening up of the liquor shops, but India as a policy tried it last year, and there were some people who were not able to cope at all and had to be hospitalized, or they were drinking sanitized. And this news usually came from the rural, poorer background where the illiteracy is more prevalent. So opening the liquor shops and having that serpentine lines are in no way allowed, shouldn't be allowed. But then there has to be a section or some committee that has to be formed that is taking this into account, that what is going to happen, people who are addicted to liquor might show withdrawal symptoms. Do we have, we understand that the pandemic is happening, what have to be taken care, but then there are a lot of other sections of people who are also suffering. So alcohol shops, sir, I understand it could be a revenue decision also, a political decision also, because of the state's earning are mostly through potable alcohol. But it could have been avoided for at least some part, and it could have been made sure that people who were suffering because of withdrawal symptoms could have been taken care also. So it needed a very holistic approach. And the other part about the Firoz Shah Kotla said, so it was a moral apathy from a part of the management, whoever was doing IPL. And I believe that was also profit motive that IPL was happening. It was not to counter stress of the people. It does help with the stress, but management point of view, there was failure on that. And when things had started to go up, IPL should have been postponed, suspended, and players should have been sent to their countries or at least quarantined away from.
Precisely, you very rightly said. And the callousness of the whole episode is that they did not were willing to contribute a single rupee towards the treatment of the COVID patients or for the deceased doctors, the police officers, and those who had succumbed to COVID. Not a single rupee by way of profit. Management was so important. And now, today's news is that they are holding the next 31 IPL matches that are remnants in Dubai. You can see the compulsions. The only compulsion of having IPL is not the love of cricket, but the profit that they are generating. So under these circumstances, do you think, should IPL even be allowed in Dubai on the basic philosophy when the nation is suffering, when we have more casualties than all the world wars that we have seen and all the calamities we have seen? There would be nothing in comparison of the heavy price that the nation has paid, even to have IPL in Dubai. If you were a decision maker, on which side would you be? To allow the IPL matches in Dubai or no?
Sir, I would, it is actually up to, in my, as I understand, it would be up to Dubai to allow the IPL happening or not. But from a part of sports person perspective also, I don't think that they should be penalized for the management failure of the IPL as such. If it can be assured that they are holding the matches responsibly, and since IPL is a very landmark Indian initiative, so it holds a certain amount of our reputation as well. So if we are able to show that yes, whatever mistakes that we made in India, we are able to rectify that, hold the matches responsibly. Maybe you can add an addition charity formation or some amount of help to COVID patients or their families or kin. And I believe sports could go on only if it is taking place in correct circumstances.
That's very correct, Anjali, and a very cogent and a mature answer. My last question to you, again, a very unseemly controversy has erupted in the nation. On one hand, you have a very noted international yoga guru who claims all miraculous properties in his medical formulations. Nothing bad about it. If I say that I have to eat leaf grass, I'm welcome to what I think if it doesn't harm you. But I cannot say that what Anjali is doing is wrong, what the doctors are doing is wrong. IMA is nothing, and allopathy is absolute nonsense. In the process, he has denigrated the sacrifice of so many deceased doctors. Till date, we have lost 777 doctors during the pandemic. And to say that it is all nonsense, it is all hogwash. How would you say that this person, who is a yoga guru and a dharma guru also rolled into one, he is peddling his products at the cost of established scientific school of medicine? And if you were as a policymaker, what action would you take to put an end to this unseemly controversy, one against the other?
Okay, sir. Sir, as a policymaker, all my decisions would flow from having total belief in evidence-based science. Whether it be allopathy, whether it be homeopathy, if it has evidence basis, if it has gone through proper trials that the WHO has said, or at least the national policy has said, then, well, you're welcome, but not at the cost of the other. And if there is a prominent person who has an effect on a lot of people in India, and if he's saying such a thing, the first thing would be to shut that down if it is not backed by science. Any falsified information should not be allowed to happen, and they should be prosecuted as per law, or under Consumer Protection Act maybe, because that is the one that gives your way to grievances. And all the advertisements, the products that have not been tested should be taken away from the market as well. So that one way to go is to be very, very strict, and so that people trust and they understand, well, it's not the problem of allopathy or homeopathy. It is just that we believe as a country in science, in how it has progressed. Allopathy doesn't hold answers to every disease, but at least we are not, sorry, sir, not saying we, but there is science behind it. There is a lot of curative and preventative. And homeopathy is also very good. So people are bound to follow it only if it has proven its safeties in trials, proper routes.
Very good, Anjali, but you may recall that there's a claim by every science, Ayurveda, homeopathy, allopathy, and every pathy has its own claims. But as you very said, the right trial. And you mentioned, invoke the Consumer Protection Act. Do you think there are any other laws that you would invoke? Perhaps you are in a different field, you would not be aware, but can you think of any other law that can be invoked under these circumstances to penalize people who are spreading rumors, vilification, false claims?
So ID Act can also be invoked because social media is being used to carry forward these claims. So there is also provisions of if you're spreading fake news, and under the IT Act you can be prosecuted. And I believe so. There must be some IPC section on some falsified information. I'm not sure, but at this moment I'm not
able. IPC has a host of sections, and since the time is running out, I would advise you to read Magic Remedies Act, and there's another Epidemic Diseases Act and Disaster Management Act. The three acts that are specifically mentioned. I think it was a very fruitful discussion. I'm much wiser than when I started the interview. Now over to Rajesh sir for the next part.
Yeah, Anjali. Good afternoon. I'm listening to you. The way you are putting your points, I'm very much impressed. Yes, it should be. But at the same time, Anjali, I would like to know from you that right from morning to evening, we are conducting interview session, of course.
Yes, sir.
Think of that, we are sitting in UPSC. Out of 10 candidates, 8 are BTech.
Okay,
8 are BTech or MTech.
yes,
Now,
sir.
you please justify on behalf of your engineers community, why is it happening in India that all majority of engineers, young engineers, dynamic engineers like you, who can do wonders in their own branch, are very much tempted to join civil services? Will you represent your 2-3 points on behalf of Engineers Association of India?
So that why do we want to join civil services?
Yeah, not only you, I'm asking you that Anjali is representing as young engineer, president of Young Engineers Association. And majority engineer out of 10, 8 are BTech. Now UPS is asking Anjali, you take that way, that Anjali is to justify that why should engineers in such a large number join civil services? Forget right now why Anjali is joining. Why engineers should join? Yeah.
So I would say that like all services, civil services also require people from all walks of life, and engineering students will be able to contribute as much as they'll be able to contribute to other. Though why engineers should be civil servants, but sorry, sir.
No, it's a,
So basically, engineers are not being provided a very good escape into engineering services because that has not been developed so well in India. But it's in colleges only, in engineering colleges, where we are actually exposed to how things have started working. And not just engineering colleges, every college. There is a good alumni section and already so many engineers there. So slowly, engineers would want to contribute to the making of India from the civil service.
No issue. No issue. I am extending helping hand to you if you want to. If I say, suppose I am representing, Anjali asked me that, sir, you please represent me, what they are asking. Accepting, rejecting your choice, Anjali. So if I would say, sir, India is heading towards not only e-governance, e-administration, it's heading towards e-life now. We are having Make in India, Smart City, Digital India, Skill Development, Atmanirbhar Bharat. Sir, all the policy for the last 1 decade, what India is projecting, India wants to be developed country. So it's a common experience all across the globe that whenever in any developed country, technocrats and bureaucrats work hand in hand. They are like two wheels of a nation. And in India, unfortunately, there is a huge communication gap between technocracy and bureaucracy. That's the most tempting factor for we technocrats to join bureaucracy. And that we would be supplementary and complementary to each other. We would be sitting together in secretariat and directorate, helping policy masters to assist making policy. And that policy, when bureaucrats and technocrats together would be putting, that policy could be executed in more efficient way and more effective way. That is, I am representing Anjali now. Will Anjali accept this argument if she has some other argument?
No, so this is one of the most basic features to have a bridging, a helping hand between all sections of the society. So engineers
I have a strong reservation. You are defending all sections. I am asking you to defend only engineers.
Yes, engineers too. If we are to build a tech-aided world tomorrow,
rather
then,
I'm representing you once again. I would say, sir, engineers especially, because even doctors, what they are using in this pandemic, all the components are composed by engineers, sir. Engineers are core of life, sir. Whether microwave oven, washing machine, sir, hairdresser, sir, hair trimmer, sir, whatever, sir, you take into account, everything is assembled by engineers. So I would say, sir, engineers are backbone of society. So they should participate a remarkable role in civil services to change India from developing to develop. Now, again, I am asking Anjali. Anjali, I am representing you. Is your any independent stand you have, or you would like to support me wholeheartedly?
So on this point, though I might have certain reservation, it's not just one community. In fact, if I have to say truthfully, it is actually the scientists that are holding the engineers upwards, and at the base of it all, there are mathematicians there.
Fine, thank you. I would say, Anjali, one thing. Out of BTech Of course, we are getting all branch of engineering, but it is really very, very tempting to see. Very few times we come across aerospace engineer or aeronautical engineer. Take me as a layman. Now I'm not representing you. Now take me as a layman. I'm very keen to know that what the basic differences between aeronautical and aerospace engineering.
Okay, sir. So aeronautical is more on the functional part, and aerospace is the physics behind the flying. So mostly aerospace is working on how planes fly, how they should be designed, and how propulsion systems should work to reduce drag. Can we change the design of it all? And then other part was also space exploration, about satellite design, about escape velocities, and how from one planet to other planet approaches can be made totally on physics perspective. Aeronautical is more how to design the systems
Take
that
account,
can actually aid aerospace.
Anjali. I'm sorry interrupting you. You are going to interact with a common man after joining civil services. You please take note of, I'm a common man, I'm a layman. Don't use technical terms to make me understand. And if you correct me, I'm a layman, I'm a villager, but I'm sensible. I got to know that aeronautical engineering is confined to atmosphere, mostly based on breathing engines. But aerospace engineering is also using non-breathing engines because they are trying to explore space also, where breathing engine will not work. How will you comment on this statement? Breathing engine and non-breathing engine.
So breathing engines utilize oxygen from
Yes.
outside the engines as an oxidizer, so that we are not adding extra fuel or increasing the weight. But where there is no oxygen, for example, outer space, then a non-breathing engine is the one that we have to
So,
look at.
as a layman, I'm right what I could get from anywhere. What information I have, am I right or wrong?
So there are more aspects to it.
No,
For example,
as a layman, am I right or wrong that with the aerospace engineer would be mostly using non-breathing engine and aeronautical engineer will be using mostly breathing engine?
so there, that is not correct. Aerospace and aeronautical both have to combine together and both work on both kind of engines.
Okay,
In
fine,
fact, all
Anjali.
kinds of engines.
Fine, Anjali. You are fond of trekking. Fine. Suppose you are
Yes, sir.
trekking on high altitude. If I make you understand this way, that on lower altitude you are using your lungs. You are aspiring high, but even then you are using your lungs. That means your lungs is working as breathing engine. But after achieving certain height, altitude, you started using oxygen cylinder back on your back. Fine. Now your lungs is not working as, so you are using oxygen cylinder support from outside, and that is your non-breathing engine. Will you support this statement that yes, lower altitude, it's a lungs breathing engine. After high altitudes, the cylinder is non-breathing engine. Your lungs is non-breathing engine.
So the characteristic of the lungs will not change. It is just an added oxygen help that we are getting. So we can put this
That's why we
not
need
exactly.
that's why we need on, you see, on high altitude we need oxygen cylinder. Trekkers
Yes, sir.
needs oxygen cylinder. That means the lungs has started working as non-breathing engine. And earlier it was working as breathing engine, so there was no need of oxygen cylinder. Had lungs been working the same, then what is the need of non-breathing engine?
No, so there, you're right there. That first it was oxygen from outside, and now it is an added cylinder and added equipment that is providing oxygen to the lungs.
Okay. May I know, did you, because you are from a special branch of engineering, no doubt about it, that for a very premier institution, Iit Kanpur, did you join anywhere after 2015?
Yes, I was working in Western Jiko Schlumberger as a positional expert, navigational expert,
Okay.
onshore on a vessel.
Okay. Thereafter you left the job.
Yes, sir.
May I know the reason? Why did you leave the job?
So there, after interacting with a lot of people on board who belong to a very different culture, I realized that I had very, very less understanding of how my own country worked, and I always loved to study, and I wanted to explore more. And I also, the most important was that I had a lot of colleagues that had a very positive reinforcement effect. And then when I
Very
started
nice.
exploring,
But if I suppose I'm sitting with you and I'm sharing that, Anjali, the core reason is that you do know that you have specialized in aerospace and aeronautical, those who are in India, they have hardly any good opportunity. They would be either underemployed because there is no good opportunity in India for aeronautical and aerospace engineer. Is it the core reason behind tempting to join civil services? Tell me very honestly.
Not really. It is not the dearth of opportunities exactly that people want to join.
Tell me one thing. HAL, Hindustan Aeronautical Limited.
Yes, sir.
Is it suitable for make in India, or is it suitable for made in India? Do you understand the difference between the two?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then, in what way you take HAL? Whether HAL is suitable to make in India or suitable to made in India?
So HAL has a lot of projects made in India currently, but make in India, we need to ramp up our technology, our skilling, our safety operations very highly.
This is the reason that we are, even for defense forces, we are importing all sorts of, even fighter warplanes we are importing from outside. Had we been able to have make in India, what Prime Minister is saying, make in India, that means even the parts, the spare parts are also manufactured inside India. Made in India, you are importing as parts and then assembling and, of course, making them. So, it's a very important, I would like to hear from you that it's a very important aspect that majority of aeronautical engineer or aerospace engineer, either they leave country, join, of course, UK, USA, of course, these are countries who are offering better job opportunity, or else they are having internal migration. As in your case, it is called internal migration. An aerospace promising engineer, dynamic engineer is leaving her job and coming to civil services, fascinated by civil services. Do you think that this is important reason? Tell me one thing simply. Do you think that India would be able to achieve make in India?
Sir, I truly believe India will be able to achieve make in India, but before doing that,
we need to have... Again, I'm interrupting you because I'm very keen to know, because you are a very tempting candidate, inspiring candidate, you are impressive. I would like to know from you that, don't you think that make in India could not be realized unless you make India, make for India, then go for make in India? Do you understand what is make India, make for India, then make in India?
So make in India means manufacturing here indigenously.
First, what is make India? Do you think that first step is make India before going for make in India?
Make India or make in?
No, make India.
Make India. So make India would be preparing it for finally make in India stage. For that, we need to have what I can remember, if I can take an example, sir, that we are not able to manufacture any airplanes right now. We are depending on Boeing, or we are buying from others, Airbus. So for that, we need to have very strong safety operations that have to be there, airworthiness manuals that have to be put in place, and accountability that has to be set up.
I appreciate your point. Very nice.
So preparing India.
Yeah, I'm happy that you could point out that, sir, first we have to make India. Make India means developing infrastructure, logistics support inside. When you make India, then you go for make for India. That does mean whatever you make, that should be acceptable to domestic consumers. And when domestic consumers have taste, then only you go for putting that product before international market. Because unless your own population is having it, it's very difficult to market that outside. So that's why the 3 steps what I'm suggesting you: make India, then make for India, then make in India.
Yes, sir.
Straightway make in India could not be realized. That was the strong viewpoint I was putting before you. Yes, fine, Anjali. Yes, sir. Yeah, Anjali, one last question from your branch. Thereafter, I would like to hear something else from you. Okay, you are supposed to be a multitasker. I want to know from you, do you understand what is aeroelastic flutter?
Aeroelastic flutter.
Flutter.
Flutter, yes, sir. I understand flutter. So I do understand.
You make me understand from one example. One day, long back, I was watching YouTube. I saw Tacoma Bridge collapsing in 1940 in Washington, D.C. And that Tacoma Bridge collapsed because of aeroelastic flatter I'm saying. And that at the same time, I was hearing number of aerospace engineers on YouTube that they say that any aerospace engineer or aeronautical engineer must know Tacoma collapse to understand aeroelastic flutter because that's the core of their engineering. Have you gone through it?
So I've definitely would have gone through the failure part of it, that why a bridge would collapse and why aerodynamically it would be important. And basically it would have to do with the design and how you compensate for drag. For example, even at the edges of the airplane, you have a slight bend upwards to remove the eddy currents from causing fatigue in the plane wings. So that can cause damage. So I haven't seen any documentary on this Tacoma Bridge, but if it collapsed, I would say that it is because of some drag fatigue.
Yeah, I'm convinced. I would like to suggest you, because you are a young dynamic engineer, you go through that.
Yes, sir. I will
visit on YouTube. It would be very good because when my kind of layman is able to understand what went wrong there, you would be much more specialized. Anyway,
okay.
So that's very fine, Anjali, hearing from you. So it seems like that Anjali, after doing a specialized branch from aerospace engineering, finally landed on ground instead of flying high, and she is very much keen to join civil services. Fine. She would love to work on ground instead of in air. That's fine. So now I would like to ask you, when you are so fascinated, when does India celebrate Civil Services Day, Anjali?
Sorry, sir. I am not sure of this. I haven't. I can't remember. I'm not able to recall right now. I'll look it up.
No problem. It's 21st April 1947, Anjali.
Okay, sir.
Since you are aspiring to be a civil servant, so I'm very keen to ask you.
Should have no more.
Yes, sure. You should. It's no apology. You are not supposed to be encyclopedia. Nobody is supposed to be. It's a question of concern only. So likewise, its concern is that you are technocrat, and that very specialized technocrat you are. I must say, I would like to give you compliment. Yes, from code of art. But I would like to know also, when is National Technology Day in India? You are technocrat.
So sorry, I'm not able to recall the days. I'm very bad with dates actually. But I'll look it up, and I should be knowing that.
It's 11th May, Anjali. It's not question of day or date, Anjali. It's a question of that you are technocrat, and National Technology Day is Pokhran 2 Day, 11th May in 1998. When Pokhran 2 was carried out, that was declared as National Technology Day. Mission Shakti it was. Mission Shakti. First Pokhran was a smiling Buddha. Second was Mission Shakti. Fine. So anyway, just one line I would like to know from you. Forget National Technology Day. What the basic difference you find between Pokhran 1 and Pokhran 2?
So I'm not. I haven't read up in detail about how it was different. Could have been underground and overground differences.
No, don't take blind guess. No issue.
Yes,
no issue. You just go through it. But one line just, what is the most important? Is nuclear development in India, nuclear power development in India, is it necessity or it became compulsory for us to develop as nuclear power? What do you think? Is it necessity or is it compulsory?
So looking at our growing population and the way that we are treating Earth and are not just forceful, but also a moral responsibility to turn towards clean energy, nuclear is both a compulsion for us and as well as a necessity for energy security of India.
I am very much there. I feel very delighted, very happy I am to extending helping hand to Anjali, because now I could see and promising you are, you should go through Pokhran 1 and Indira Gandhi, while addressing UNO after Pokhran 1, that everybody was pointing finger towards Indira Gandhi as Prime Minister, that the country which is fighting against Garibi Hatao, corruption, so much problem, drinking water, irrigation, health, all sorts of problems are there. But even then India carried out Pokhran 1 nuclear test, everybody was criticizing Indira Gandhi. The Indira Gandhi pointed out in United Nations that India was non-nuclear weapon country when it was threatened by nuclear weapon and nuclear consequences by USA in 1971 Indo-Pak War. On supporting, US was supporting Pakistan, and India was issued 7th Fleet, if you remember. It was 7th Fleet.
Sir.
And that way, it is like that you are completely unarmed person, very peace-loving girl, and somebody put pistol over your head and started threatening you. That naturally compelled you to apply for a license for pistol. People asking you, Anjali, instead of preparing for civil services, suite or doing some job, why are you applying for? Anjali said, you compelled me to apply. So it's not only necessary, it's not necessary, it has become a compulsion.
Yes, sir.
Could Anjali get it?
Yes, sir. Sir, I only spoke from energy security point of view. It is more strategic and military also, where a compulsion comes from.
Yeah, really. Because you are now going to be multitasker. So and now you are supposed to be in open horizon. Anyway, before just last question, I'm very much keen to, because I'm going. It's really, we are having, God is so kind to us. We are so blessed people interacting with the best youth of India whole round the day. No doubt about it. And that's very good learning for us also. We are in also learning phase. I have gone through your one hobby, that is painting.
Yes, sir.
May I know, I don't know painting, but I'm very much keen to know, what is Cubism style of painting?
So Cubism is more of straight lines or trying to identify a character within defined boundaries, more or such.
Are you asking me?
No, sir. No, sir. I haven't explored that part, but like I know that MF Hussain is towards Cubism.
No. Don't go. See, you are going to interact with common man now as an IAS, IPS officer. You have to speak in a way that common man should understand. Let me make you understand, Anjali, that you may have seen number of signboard over certain showroom or shop. The way you paint, they paint and they make blackening below the letters so that the letters seems to be hanging.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen that? Yes, shadow. So it looks like letters have, the signboard has length, breadth, and depth also. The letter is hanging like. Could you get my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Since the letter seems to be hanging, so it is giving feel of length, breadth, and depth also. That was developed by Mughals in India.
Okay. Perspectives in painting, if
cubic.
Okay, sir.
Cubic style.
I did not know this part. This is very interesting. I'll see this.
Yeah, this is three-dimensional painting evolved by Mughals in India. And gradually it has become, like we always say, Mughals invaders. But we would love to have Mughlai paratha. As soon as somebody put away Mughlai, arey, bahut badhiya. Or if the paratha is light or not having proper butter, proper shape, we do reject. Kya baat karte ho? Ye Mughlai paratha hai? Nonsense. So it is like that. We indirectly accepted their culture, but at the same time we keep rejecting also. No, it's a Mughal, the invaders, this, that. Anyway.
Yes, sir.
Very nice hearing you. That one thing, Anjali, have you ever visited Agra?
Sir, I've passed through Agra, not really visited the city.
Really? Of course, you must be knowing of the Taj Mahal World Heritage Site.
Yes, sir.
Before I request Honorable Chairperson to take you back and give his valuable blessings and feedback, I would like to just one line. Agra Taj Mahal, that is it justified, Anjali, that a person is using public money for keeping his private memories alive? Is it acceptable? Suppose Chief Minister using public money for his wife or for his father, making something for his father and for wife. Is it acceptable?
So in today's scenario, this will totally be out of it. It is not even ethically sound that today it is happening. But at that point of time, the condition of society was such that they built a tomb. And today it is actually reaping us a lot of benefits.
I represent on behalf of you in one line. I would say, sir, in monarchy, there was no distinction between public and private money. That was justified. Yes, but in present-day democracy, public money can never be used this way. It's absolutely not acceptable.
Yes.
Fine, Anjali?
Yes,
Very nice.
Thank you, sir.
You speak, you do it. And I'd like to suggest you one thing before
Yes, sir.
you go back to Honorable Chairperson. You do one thing. You start practicing before mirror.
Okay,
You
sir.
have your own interview before mirror.
Okay, sir.
Mirror never tell lies. So instead of having so much of feedback of so many experts, so I suggest you, it is wonderful in my hardcore professional experience. When you speak before mirror, have your own interview, you can easily make out that whether you are pinpointed, focused, thought-provoking, or you are something speaking out of proportion, or sometimes you are beating bush all around, not coming to the
sir.
point straight way. It will give you very right impression, and
Yes,
that
sir.
way. Right now, the position is that everyone has negative. It's a high time for you to cover all your negative by your
Yes, sir.
positives. By
Okay,
your
sir.
positive. Right? Could you get my point?
Yes, sir, I do.
You have, suppose, carpet. The carpet will gather dust. So better dust carpet, put all the dust below carpet and get ready for red carpet welcome.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
I request Honorable Chairperson to give you final feedback.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Rajesh, sir. Well, it was such a great pleasure interacting with you, Anjali.
Thank you,
And
sir.
interacting with an IIT pass out indeed is a greatest pleasure and a challenge both.
Thank you, sir.
You are a person with tremendous self-confidence, composure, and a quiet dignity about you. But make no mistake about it.
Yes, sir.
There's a difference between an Everester and a difference between a village-level mountaineer. You are an Everester. I and Rajesh ji expect the world from you. Please brush up your knowledge of Kanpur, 1857 mutiny,
Yes, sir.
war, and everything. We expect you to be an encyclopedia. We don't expect, non-Everesters to be encyclopedia, but you, we have extraordinary expectations of you. You have done it in the past, you have done it today, and you'll be able to do it in the interview. You are the best, and I'm sure you will come out and emerge with flying colors and do yourself and your family proud. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure you will make it.
God bless.
Thank you, sir.
God bless.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, just one question. Any area where I should focus on, somewhere where I'm lacking answering question, or am I being too?
Wherever you said, Anjali, I would say, wherever you said that I have to work on, you answered your questions yourself. Kanpur, Nana Sahab, 1857, tanneries of Kanpur, the Ganga, there's any number. Kanpur will figure in your interview. Kanpur is one area which is so rich in history, and whatever Professor Dr. Rajesh ji mentioned about Taj Mahal and other things. One thing leads to another. Therefore, the general knowledge in respect of your culture and heritage is very important. The rest, Mr. Rajesh ji will be able to enlighten you better.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
No, sir.
Thank you so much.
I do support, sir, the way you explained to her, sir. That's very nice, sir. Even I am listening to you, sir, number of times. So it's, of course, great learning for all of us. Having this honor that having your association. Anjali, the only thing I would like to see from my side, that you are already ready for correction always. You are a very nice personality as personality. Because the point is that you say, as soon as you find that, yes, you are on wrong foot, you say, sir, I would like to go in detail. Right now, I'm not aware of. That's very nice gesture. Because nobody, as an administrator, one should not be confused. Like if you ask me something I don't know, no harm in saying that I would say, sir, I don't know, sir. And instead of saying, I'm trying to recall, sorry, sir, I'm not able to. That shows my state of confusion. And if I say, fraction of a second, I respected the question, and thereafter I would reply, sir, I really don't know, sir. Sorry for disappointing you. That shows that I know what I know. I know what I don't know.
Okay, sir.
That's the ultimate clarity. And correction, even constitution is subjected to amendment, Anjali. Who am I and who are you? Fine? So you are ready for correction always. That's the best part of your personality.
Okay.
Keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.